The Rabbit of Hushbrook Falls. Chapter 1. The Whisper of the Waterfall. Beneath the twilight sky, where the stars blinked sleepily, lay a secret glen hidden from the world, a place where only the softest breezes dared to wander. In the heart of this quiet haven stood Hushbrook Falls, a silver ribbon of water that whispered its song into the night. This was no ordinary waterfall. It was said that anyone who listened closely could hear it singing lullabies, the kind that made even the sleepiest dreams come true. And there, nestled just beside the shimmering cascade, was a small, fluffy rabbit named Wisp. Wisp was no ordinary rabbit either. With fur as soft as the mist that rose from the waterfall, and eyes as deep as the evening sky, Wisp was the keeper of dreams in the glen. Every night, when the world grew still and the moonlight kissed the water's surface, Wisp would curl up on a bed of moss right beneath the falls. This was Wisp's favourite spot in the whole world, a place where the cool spray of the waterfall danced on her nose, and the gentle hum of the water wrapped her like a blanket. Tonight was no different. As the stars twinkled overhead and the fireflies blinked lazily in the breeze, Wisp felt the first tingle of drowsiness settle into her ears. She gave a soft stretch, her little paws digging into the dewy grass, and her whiskers twitched with delight. It was almost time for sleep. But before she settled in for the night, Wisp took one last hop through the glen, visiting her friends as they too prepared for bed. First, there was Yawny the snail, who always left shimmering trails of yawn dust wherever she slithered. Tonight, Yawny was already nestled beneath a big mushroom cap, her slow yawns filling the air like tiny bells. "Good night, Yawny," Wisp whispered as she passed, her voice as soft as the breeze. Next, she came upon Dozy the dragonfly, who was perched on a glowing lily pad, her wings fluttering slower and slower as the night deepened. Dozy's wings, which usually sparkled like 1,000 stars, now moved in gentle, sleepy circles. "Sleep well, Dozy," Wisp murmured with a little hop, her own eyes growing heavier with each step. Finally, Wisp returned to Hushbrook Falls, where the water sang its soothing song. She settled onto her mossy bed, feeling the cool mist settle over her fur. The waterfall's song was just for her now, a soft, gentle rhythm that matched her heartbeat. "Hush, hush, little one," it seemed to say. "Drift away. The day is done." Wisp tucked her ears around her like a blanket, the softest sigh escaping her as she let her body relax. Her breathing slowed, in and out, as the stars blinked their goodnight overhead. The cool water droplets kissed her paws, and the sound of the waterfall surrounded her like a cradle. As her eyes fluttered closed, Wisp felt the world around her fade, the edges of her dreams blending with the mist of the falls. It was always like this, a gentle slide into slumber, where the dreams were soft and sweet, just like the lullaby of Hushbrook Falls. And as the last firefly dimmed its light, Wisp drifted into the deepest, most peaceful sleep. Her dreams carried on the whisper of the waterfall. Chapter 2. The Cradle of the Night. The night at Hushbrook Falls was like a velvet blanket, soft and deep, wrapping the world in a soothing hush. Stars hung in the sky like tiny lanterns, swaying gently as if the universe itself were rocking them to sleep. The moon, a silver boat adrift, in an ocean of darkness, glowed faintly over the shimmering waters below. Wisp, the little rabbit with fur as soft as a cloud and eyes like dark pools of twilight, was already drifting in and out of dreams. But tonight, something felt different, more magical, as though the night itself was breathing along with her, slow and steady. The waterfall continued to sing its lullaby, each drop of water tumbling over the rocks like a pearl falling through the air, delicate and smooth. Curled up beneath the waterfall's gentle mist, Wisp's dreams began to unfold like the petals of a flower greeting the sun. Her mind floated through a sea of soft colours, pale blues, glowing silvers, and the lightest of lavenders, swirling together like watercolours mixing in a stream. It was a dream that felt like silk, cool and smooth against her fur. But even in her dream, she could feel the presence of Hushbrook Falls. The sound of the water was more than a sound. It was like a familiar heartbeat, steady and comforting. Each splash of the waterfall was as soft as the brush of a feather, and as Wisp dreamed, she imagined herself floating along the stream, light as a dandelion seed caught on a breeze. The night breeze itself whispered through the trees, making the leaves sway like they were dancing with the stars. Each tree seemed to hum, a low, gentle melody that harmonized with the waterfall's song. The forest, bathed in the silver glow of the moon, stood still, like a great sleeping giant whose breath was the wind itself. Wisp's dream deepened. She dreamed she was dancing on the surface of the water, her tiny paws skimming across it as if it were made of silk. The ripples that followed her were not ordinary ripples. They shimmered like ribbons of moonlight, spreading out in perfect circles that twinkled and sparkled like stardust. The water embraced her like an old friend, lifting her up and carrying her along, cradling her in its cool arms. In this dream, Wisp felt lighter than air. She wasn't just a rabbit anymore. She was part of the night, part of the waterfall, part of the very air that surrounded her. It was as though she had become a whisper on the wind, floating effortlessly through the world of dreams. The trees, with their silver-tipped leaves, swayed gently to greet her as she passed, their branches reaching down like friendly arms offering a soft embrace. Above her, the stars sparkled brighter, each one winking like a secret being shared between the heavens and the earth. They weren't just stars. They were little dreams waiting to fall, each one a tiny droplet of magic, ready to land softly in someone's heart. Wisp could almost hear them giggling as they blinked, their laughter like the soft tinkling of distant wind chimes. The moon, now high in the sky, seemed to beam down at Wisp as she floated through her dream. Its light was cool and gentle, like a soft kiss on her forehead, and it seemed to say, "Rest now, little one, for the night is long and full of wonder." As the dream carried her along, Wisp began to feel even sleepier. The gentle rhythm of the water, the cool breeze on her fur, and the soft hum of the night all blended together like a lullaby, pulling her deeper and deeper into sleep. The stars overhead shimmered like diamonds, scattered across velvet, and the whole world seemed to breathe in time with her. And then, just as Wisp's dream was about to fade completely into slumber, a tiny golden butterfly appeared, its wings glowing like candlelight. It fluttered down from the sky, moving as slowly and gracefully as a falling leaf. Wisp watched, her eyes half closed, as the butterfly landed softly on her nose, its wings beating in a gentle rhythm like a lullaby all its own. The butterfly whispered a secret, its voice so soft it was barely a breath. Sleep well, sweet Wisp. The night is yours, and the dreams are waiting." With that, the butterfly flitted away, disappearing into the shadows of the trees, leaving behind a trail of golden sparks that twinkled and faded like fireflies. Wisp smiled in her sleep, her heart warm with the magic of the night. And as the last trace of her dream faded away, she snuggled deeper into the moss beneath the waterfall, her body as light as a feather, her mind as quiet as a gentle stream flowing nearby. The night wrapped around her like a cradle, rocking her softly back and forth. And with one final sigh, Wisp drifted into the deepest, most peaceful sleep she had ever known. Chapter 3: The Moonlit Meadows. Wisp's eyes fluttered open, but instead of waking, she found herself in a world that felt softer than a sigh. The gentle hum of the waterfall still echoed faintly in the distance, but around her now stretched an endless meadow, bathed in a light so delicate it seemed to spill from the moon itself. The grass under her paws was as smooth as satin, brushing against her fur like a loving whisper. The air was cool and sweet, carrying with it the scent of flowers that only bloomed under the cover of night. Flowers that shimmered with silvery light as though each petal had caught a piece of the moon. Wisp blinked slowly, her heart quiet and calm, as though the very night had lulled her into a dream within a dream. Ahead, a soft glow appeared, tiny golden lights flickering like candle flames. She hopped closer, her movements light and effortless, as if the ground itself were lifting her with each step. As she drew nearer, the lights revealed themselves to be a gathering of fireflies, twirling lazily in the still air, their little bodies glowing with a warm, golden hue. They seemed to be waiting just for her. "Come along," one firefly buzzed, its voice as faint as a breeze. "We have a path to show you." Wisp didn't need to be asked twice. She followed the fireflies, her body feeling lighter with each hop. Their glowing forms flitted through the air like sparks dancing from a campfire, lighting the way as they led her deeper into the meadow. The path beneath her paws was soft and velvety, winding like a river through the fields of silver grass, which swayed gently with the rhythm of the night. As they moved, the fireflies began to hum a soft melody, a tune that was neither too loud nor too quiet, but just right, like the perfect lullaby whispered in the ear of a child. Wisp felt the melody in her very bones, like a warm breeze passing through her. Every note seemed to carry her further into a state of tranquility, where even the stars twinkling above her seemed to move slower, their light casting long, dreamy shadows across the meadow. Soon, the fireflies led her to the edge of a glimmering pond, where the water was still and clear, like a mirror reflecting the sky. Wisp paused at the edge, gazing down at her reflection. The water didn't just show her face, though. It shimmered with the reflection of the moon and stars, blending them with her image as if she were part of the night itself. The fireflies hovered around the pond, their golden glow creating ripples of light that danced across the surface. Wisp dipped a paw into the water, watching as tiny waves spread out, each one sending a soft glow across the pond. The water felt cool against her fur, soothing, like the touch of a gentle hand guiding her into deeper relaxation. "This is the moonlit meadow," the lead firefly explained, his tiny wings buzzing softly. "Here, time slows, and dreams drift like the petals of a flower caught in a gentle wind. You are safe, little Wisp. Rest, and let the night carry you. Wisp settled at the edge of the pond, her body sinking into the soft grass. The water's surface shimmered before her, rippling gently as the fireflies continued to hum their sweet melodic tune. Her eyelids grew heavier, the peaceful air wrapping around her like a silken shawl. The stars above, once so far away, now felt close enough to touch, each one twinkling with a soft warmth that eased her deeper into calm. The moon, hanging high in the sky like a guardian of dreams, watched over Wisp as she rested by the pond. Its light seemed to cradle her, as though the entire world were one big lullaby meant just for her. As her breathing slowed and her body relaxed, Wisp felt herself sinking into the quiet rhythm of the meadow. The fireflies twirled above her, their lights pulsing in time with the steady beat of the night. It was a moment suspended in softness, where even the breeze barely stirred, too gentle to disturb the stillness. Wisp's heart was calm, her thoughts floating like feathers on the wind. The world around her seemed to melt away, leaving only the soft glow of the fireflies, the cool whisper of the pond, and the gentle hum of the meadow, wrapping her in a cocoon of serenity. And just as the last bit of tension slipped from her small body, Wisp's eyes fluttered shut, her dreams once again reaching out to carry her away, deeper into the night. Chapter 4. The Star Garden. The night deepened around Wisp, but it didn't grow darker. Instead, it seemed to swell with light, the kind that glows from within and doesn't need the sun to shine. Wisp blinked awake, finding herself nestled at the edge of the pond, the fireflies still dancing overhead, casting a golden glow on everything around them. But now, the path ahead seemed to shimmer with a new kind of magic. The fireflies flickered like tiny lanterns, guiding Wisp towards something even more wonderful that lay just beyond the meadow. Their wings buzzed softly, urging her onward. Wisp stretched her legs, feeling the gentle weightlessness of the night air around her. She followed the glowing path, her paws making no sound as they touched the ground. The world felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for her to discover something hidden and precious. As she ventured deeper, the meadow began to change. The silver grasses parted, revealing a hidden grove, where trees stood tall and slender, like the watchful guardians of some ancient secret. Their bark gleamed faintly, as though dipped in moonlight, and from their branches hung the most extraordinary sight Wisp had ever seen: stars. Tiny glowing stars dangled from the branches, like delicate ornaments, each one softly pulsing with light. It was as if the trees had plucked them from the night sky and now cradled them in their boughs. The grove was alive with a gentle hum, a sound so subtle it could have been the soft exhale of a dream. Wisp stood at the entrance, her heart full of awe. "This," whispered a firefly, settling onto her nose for a moment, "is the Star Garden." Wisp took a slow step forward, her eyes wide with wonder. The stars weren't just hanging in the trees. They were blooming like flowers. Each one unfurled its glowing petals, and as the light flickered, it felt as though the stars themselves were breathing. The air was thick with their soft glow, creating a kind of warmth that wrapped around Wisp like the coziest of blankets. She moved among the trees, the starry light casting gentle shadows on the ground that rippled like water. The stars swayed on their branches, tinkling ever so softly, like the faintest sound of wind chimes in a distant breeze. Wisp's paws barely touched the ground as she wandered deeper into the grove, her entire body feeling lighter, as though she could float up and join the stars if she wished. The light from the stars wasn't harsh or bright. It was the kind of light that seemed to live in the quietest corners of the heart. A light that made the world feel softer, more tender. Wisp looked up, and the stars blinked back at her, each one holding its own story, its own dream, waiting to be told. She reached up on her hind legs, gently brushing a starflower with her paw. It felt like cool silk, and when she touched it, the petals fluttered and sent a soft, musical note through the air. A sound so pure, it felt like the very essence of peace. The grove seemed to hum in response. Wisp's heart swelled with the feeling that she was exactly where she was meant to be, as though the star garden had been waiting for her all along. A soft voice drifted through the trees, so faint and melodic. It was like the wind itself had learned to sing. "The stars in this garden," the voice whispered, "are the dreams of every creature who rests beneath the sky. They bloom in the quiet of the night, lighting the way for those who wander in the world of sleep." Wisp followed the voice, her curiosity leading her to the very heart of the star garden. There, she found a small clearing, where the stars hung lower, close enough to touch. They swayed gently in the still air, their light flickering like candle flames in the breeze. In the center of the clearing stood an old gnarled tree, its bark dark and rough, but its branches thick with glowing starflowers. The tree pulsed with life, its roots deep and strong, anchoring it to the earth, while its branches seemed to reach up toward the heavens. Wisp felt drawn to it, as though the tree had a secret to share, one meant only for her. The fireflies danced around her, their golden light twinkling like tiny sparks. "This is the dreamkeeper's tree," they explained in voices as soft as the rustling leaves. "It holds the dreams of the world, safe and secure. Each starflower you see is a dream, blooming in the night, waiting to be gathered." Wisp gazed up at the tree, her heart filled with the quiet beauty of it all. The stars blinked gently, their soft light brushing her fur like a loving hand. She could feel the dreams swirling in the air around her, gentle, peaceful, and full of wonder. The fireflies gathered closer, their hum low and comforting. "Every dream has a place, little Wisp. And now, yours is here too." Wisp felt a warmth spread through her chest, and she smiled, her heart lighter than ever. She knew without a doubt that she had found something magical, a place where dreams grew like flowers, blooming in the stillness of the night. She sat at the base of the dreamkeeper's tree, her body sinking into the soft grass, her eyes growing heavy as the starflowers twinkled softly above her. The gentle hum of the grove was like a lullaby wrapping around her, carrying her deeper into the quiet peace of sleep. And as Wisp's eyes closed, the last thing she saw was a single starflower drifting from the tree, floating slowly down toward her, its light fading into her dreams. Chapter 5. The Bridge of Clouds. Wisp's eyes blinked open, and she found herself at the edge of the star garden, where the last of the starflowers glowed like tiny lanterns in the dark. A cool breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it a silvery mist that seemed to beckon her onward. In the distance, a pale misty path stretched across the sky like a delicate ribbon, its edges shimmering with the promise of something wondrous. As she padded closer, she realized that this path was no ordinary trail. It was a bridge made entirely of clouds. Each billowy step looked soft as cotton, and as Wisp placed a tentative paw upon it, the clouds gave a gentle, comforting sway, as though rocking her in a cradle of moonlight. The hum of the star garden faded behind her, replaced by a quiet hush that filled the night air with anticipation. Step by slow step, Wisp ventured onto the bridge of clouds. Each cloud puff felt like stepping on a pillow, and with each movement, her body grew lighter. The bridge seemed to rise beneath her paws, carrying her higher into the sky, away from the twinkling starlight below. The sensation was both exhilarating and calm, like floating on a peaceful dream current. Halfway across the bridge, she met a wise owl perched on a particularly fluffy cloud. His feathers were the color of moonbeams, and his large, round eyes held the glow of ancient wisdom. "Welcome, little traveler," he said, his voice deep and kind, vibrating like distant thunder. "You've come a long way." Wisp's ears twitched politely, and she bowed her head in greeting. Despite the lofty heights, she felt no fear, only a growing sense of serenity as the bridge of clouds swayed gently beneath her. The owl nodded sagely, as if he could feel the rhythm of her heartbeat. "Rest, child. Sometimes, to understand dreams, we must pause and let them catch up to us." He stretched out a wing and offered it to Wisp. With delicate care, she hopped onto his wing, and he guided her across the remaining length of the cloud bridge, each step accompanied by a gentle rocking motion that felt like being lulled by a lullaby. Soft wisps of air kissed her fur, and her eyelids grew heavier. Yet her heart brimmed with warmth at the owl's presence and the tender swaying of the clouds. The bridge seemed to hum in harmony with her own drowsy heartbeat, slowing time to a languid, comforting pace. As they reached the end of the bridge of clouds, the owl lowered his wing, allowing Wisp to step back onto a patch of glowing moonlit ground. "You have further to go," he murmured, blinking his luminous eyes. "But remember this gentle rocking, and remember to rest. That is how dreams find us." Wisp thanked him with a soft twitch of her nose. Then, with one last flutter of his wings, the owl vanished into the night sky, leaving Wisp on the threshold of her next adventure. Her heart calmer, her paws steady, and her spirit full of quiet courage. Chapter 6. The Dreamkeeper's Tree. The path beyond the bridge of clouds wound through a twilight world where the air felt warm, carrying a hush that made even the breeze seem reverent. Tiny lights sparkled in the distance, guiding Wisp forward as though each shimmer held a secret promise. Before long, she arrived at the base of a towering tree, its trunk ancient and sturdy, its roots disappearing into the misty ground. The tree's branches reached toward the sky, each leaf glowing like silver starlight. At first glance, it seemed alive with its own gentle pulse, like a great sleeping heart, beating slowly in the hush of the night. A soft glow emerged from behind the trunk. Wisp stepped closer, her paws making no sound on the mossy earth. From the other side of the tree, a gentle, radiant figure stepped forward. A being whose entire form shimmered as though woven from moonbeams. Their presence felt as warm and reassuring as a hug at bedtime. "Welcome, little rabbit," the figure said in a voice as soothing as a lullaby. "I am the Dreamkeeper, and this is my tree, where all dreams are gathered and woven into the tapestry of the night." Wisp gazed up in awe. Each branch held delicate strands of silver, like threads of light dancing in the breeze. Here and there, faint sparks glimmered along these strands. She realized that these sparks were dreams, drifting slowly until they found the right branch, nestling in like tiny fireflies seeking a home. The leaves cradled them, and the dreamkeeper gently guided each strand into place. The dreamkeeper knelt to meet Wisp's curious gaze, placing a soft, shimmering hand on her paw. Instantly, Wisp felt a wave of warmth flow from the dreamkeeper's touch, a kindness that soothed every weary bone in her body. "Your own dreams have traveled far to be here," the dreamkeeper whispered. "They hold gentle moments, star-bright wonder, and the hush of nighttime peace. By sharing your dreams, you help others find rest too." Wisp's whiskers trembled with quiet excitement. She felt the leaves overhead rustle in silent acknowledgement, as if each one were whispering her name. The dreamkeeper straightened again, turning to the trunk, where the largest strand of silver light glowed warmly. "This is your dream, Wisp," the dreamkeeper said, guiding the strand with the lightest touch. The dream thread gleamed in the tree's branches, glowing brighter the closer the dreamkeeper's hand came to it. Wisp saw images flicker along the strand. Her beloved Hushbrook Falls, the mossy bed that cushioned her during slumber, the moonlit meadows, and the starry garden she had wandered through. All of it was woven together in a tapestry of peace and wonder. In that moment, Wisp understood that dreams were not just for the dreamer. They were gifts that lit up the night, guiding and comforting anyone who might need a glimmer of hope while they slept. Her heart swelled with gratitude. A gentle breeze passed through the leaves, and the branches tinkled like faint chimes in a distant belfry, harmonizing with her own soft breathing. With a final, tender touch, the dreamkeeper secured Wisp's dream in the tree. The strand brightened briefly, then settled into a tranquil glow. Turning back to Wisp, the dreamkeeper offered a serene smile. "Your journey can continue, dear one. But when you return to the waterfall you call home, know that you carry not just your own dreams, but the peaceful hush that nurtures them." Wisp bowed her head in thanks, her ears drooping in a gesture of respect. The dreamkeeper's radiance filled the clearing like a gentle sunrise at midnight, illuminating every branch and leaf. With heart full of wonder, Wisp began to sense the pull of Hushbrook Falls calling her name, like a lullaby only she could hear. Chapter 7: The Return to Hushbrook Falls. Leaving the dreamkeeper's tree felt a bit like leaving a piece of her heart behind, but Wisp felt no sadness. Instead, she was filled with a serene assurance that dreams would always be there, waiting. She followed a soft, glowing trail leading away from the grand tree, each step guided by a pale light that flowed through the air like a gentle tide. Gradually, the sounds of distant water reached her ears, a hush and a hum that rose and fell, rhythmic and steady, like the heartbeat of the land. With each hop, the dreamkeeper's realm faded into shadowy silhouettes, while the comforting reality of Hushbrook Falls drew nearer. Finally, the waterfall came into view, its silvery cascade sparkling under the moon and stars. Mist curled around the rocks at its base, drifting upward in lazy spirals, while the pool at the bottom shimmered like polished moonstone. The night air felt cool and familiar as it touched Wisp's fur, instantly reminding her of home. She bounded to her favorite mossy spot at the edge of the falls. The soft bed seemed to embrace her, welcoming her back as though she had never left. Closing her eyes, Wisp listened to the water, a lullaby she knew by heart, one that grounded her in a deep sense of safety and warmth. For a moment, she recalled the bridge of clouds swaying under her paws, the star garden's shimmering blossoms, and the dreamkeeper's gentle glow. She remembered each place, each creature she had met, and each dream that felt like a gift from the night. As she breathed in and out, the sounds and scents of Hushbrook Falls mingled with those magical memories, weaving them into her heart like fine threads of silver. Then, in a tender whisper, almost lost under the fall's hush, she murmured, "Thank you." At those words, a final glow of light sparkled in the sky. Perhaps a distant star signaling its good night. Wisp's eyelids drooped, and she let out the softest sigh, nestling deeper into the moss. As the moon cast its gentle rays upon the waterfall, Wisp's breathing found the same calming rhythm as the water. In that perfect moment, somewhere between awake and asleep, she felt the warmth of all she had seen and learned. She understood that her dreams were safe, cherished, and shared within the glowing branches of the dreamkeeper's tree. The last thing she heard before drifting off was the steady cascade of the falls, a lullaby guiding her into a peaceful slumber. The night air carried her into the sweetest sleep, where all her memories shone like fireflies against the darkness, illuminating her dreams as she slipped gently into the realm of rest.